Hey everyone, welcome back to Collector Not Hoarder. This is Tom. It's that time of year again where I start seeing a lot of YouTubers posting lists of cards in their PC, whether it's their most valuable in their collection or some of their favorites from their collection. And I've actually never done a list on my channel before, so I thought it'd be fun to go through and do my top 20 favorite pickups of 2025. If you've watched my channel in the past, you know that I collect a whole array of cards, and I feel like I fall into about four categories, kind of broad categories, but four categories that I collect in, and one being non-sports. I do baseball, kind of like all eras of baseball. I do minor sports, and I do 19th century trade cards. So the stuff that I'm going to be sharing today is a combination of all of that. And some of these cards I have shown on my channel and others I have not. So it'll be the first time they're on my YouTube channel here, but they have been on my Instagram, at least most of these have. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first one I'm going to start off with is my beautiful upgrade of my 1888 N76 Benjamin Franklin. So if I've shown these before on my channel, you know, I won't go into too great a detail on how I got them and why I got them, but I just want to share them again just because these were some of the best ones that I liked from the year. And this is definitely one that I loved adding. So this was just a beautiful upgrade to the one I previously had. And another thing about this list that I'm doing is, aside from this one, most of this stuff is stuff that I'm owning for the first time in my collection. So a lot of things that I bought this past year were duplicates or upgrades. And so that Ben Franklin there is, I believe, the only one that I have a duplicate of. So the rest of these are all new to my PC and first time owning them. Let's see. Card number 2, and these are actually in no particular order either. These are just 20 cards that I selected and just stuck them in a stack. So this is my very first Babe Ruth card. This is the 1932 Bulgaria Sport with Hall of Fame boxer Max Schmeling and Hall of Fame baseball player Babe Ruth. This is the first Ruth card in my collection. I was super happy to be able to add this. This is a relatively nice copy. But probably the most affordable Ruth Playing Days card that you can get. I just think it's great because I do collect boxing and baseball, so it's what I called a crossover card. I love the combination of the sports here. So the next card that I have is a card that I've never shown before, and this is a 1923-24 Nacionales of Hall of Fame auto driver Ralph De Palma. So some of you guys might be familiar with this set. There's a lot of Negro Leagues baseball and Cuban baseball players in this set. So there's a portion of the set that is baseball, and there's also a portion that is minor sports. And I was lucky enough this past year to pick up a small lot of these cards, and this De Palma was my main focus out of that lot. This is a very tough card, very tough set to get. I don't believe any of these De Palma ones have been graded before by PSA or SGC. And if they have been, there's maybe only one or two, but very difficult to get these, and this was in really good condition. You could see that it had paper added on the back. That's just because these were typically glued into an album. So this was one I was very proud of to add. All right, and then card number 4 I actually just shared recently, but it probably jumps to the top of the list of one of my favorite baseball trade cards that I have in my collection now, and this is the 1887 H804-21 of Cap Anson. So just a beautiful card, wonderful colors on this thing, and sharp corners. Just overall a great example of this card. All right, and next is another card that I haven't shown yet, and this is my 1890 N309 Yum Yum Tobacco of George Washington. This is a very rare advertisement on this card, so this is a difficult one to acquire. I got this one out of a scrapbook. You can see the staining on the back, but this was a great card that I was super happy to add. I have a handful of Washingtons from this set, but not this particular advertisement. So being a tobacco advertisement, these are a little bit more sought after. So yeah, just a great example of this. Next, these were pretty big for me this past year, was picking up early 1900s baseball team postcards. This one hits a little bit more on a personal level for me. This is a 1906 Canton Chinaman baseball postcard. So Canton, Ohio is where I grew up, and this team was in Canton, Ohio, and their home field was actually about 5 minutes from where I grew up. That field no longer exists, but they played at Myers Lake Ballpark, and I was very excited whenever I came across this, that I found a team that was from my hometown and played at a field that was relatively close to where my house was. So I was really excited to add this. I had a lot of fun this past year finding typically minor league baseball postcards. I didn't pick up really any major league teams. Those are kind of out of my range, so I always tried to find something interesting about the minor league teams. Next on the list here, this is my 7th card. So this is my 1936 Alpha Olympics of Mac Robinson. Mac Robinson is Jackie Robinson's older brother, and Mac came in second to Jesse Owens in the 200 meter in the 1936 Olympics. And I just thought this was a fantastic card to add, having the relationship to Jackie Robinson and having a Mac Robinson card. The Mac cards are actually very difficult to find. There's not too many of them out there. So I was really happy to add this one. This was just a cool little card. It's a candy card, but very neat image of him nonetheless. Next is, this is a great trade card, a baseball trade card. This is the 1880s H804-13, the old style and new style. This is a pretty difficult set to acquire, and this is one of my favorites from that set, but it's for the pitching styles. So it shows a reference to the old style of pitching on here where they threw underhand, and then the new style in the 1880s where they started throwing overhand. So just a really fun image, really fun card there, and just a difficult one to get. And that one is a blank back, so there's no advertisement on the back. Here is another card that I haven't shared yet, and that is the, let's see, what is this? It's a 1902 T64 General set of Civil War General Thomas. And this is a very difficult set to put together. It has all types of generals, I believe, from the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the Boer War, and I believe maybe the Spanish War. I forget what all the wars were, but you had General Sherman in there. You had Washington, Lee, all the big generals were in this set. And this was one that I grabbed from a scrapbook, you know, as I've said several times now. This was one that I saw and knew the difficulty of getting the set. So I tried my best to win the auction to get this scrapbook. And sure enough, I got it. And I was very happy that I did. And even just having the namesake on there of General Thomas, I really enjoy that aspect of it as well. But these are very tough cards to get. Not many of them from the full set have even been graded. And I honestly don't know if this General Thomas card has ever been graded. I know there's a few more out there, but they're ungraded copies. But overall, very difficult to get. So a great one to add this past year. Let's see, next, probably one of my more favorite team postcards. And I'm getting a lot of reflection on that. Let me actually just slide it out here. This is the 1904-05 Aetna's baseball team in Puerto Rico. So whenever I picked this up, I got it from a seller in Puerto Rico. And this has to be one of the earliest baseball photos from Puerto Rico, of a team at least. And it's got a great back on it. You know, obviously it's got some condition issues to it, but overall it's been postmarked in 1905. I shared this in a previous video and talked a little bit more about it, but if you haven't watched that video, go check it out. It's just a great team postcard, super rare. And it's really difficult to find anything about this team or the postcard. So I don't know how many of them still exist out there, but this was something I was thrilled to add this year. And as most of this stuff I'm showing, like, there's a reason I put it on this list. It's my favorites from this year. You know, this is probably only 10% of my purchases from this year, but these are some of the top ones that I really enjoyed adding. Next is one that I haven't shown. It was actually more of a recent acquisition here. This is a 1909 Stanley Ketchel. He is a Hall of Fame boxer. This is from the James Jeffries playing card set. You can see that James Jeffries is on the back, and I believe he has a card in the set, but within the set, it's just a whole bunch of different boxers on each card. And this one is of Stanley Ketchel, and you can see this is a PSA 10 of a card from 1909. And this is a Hall of Fame boxer that actually was murdered, I believe, a year later than this card. So I think right around 1910, might have been 1911. But he was at the age of 24, so super young guy, and murdered at a young age. So Ketchel is one that I like to collect. So I have a handful of Ketchel cards. He doesn't have very many, obviously, because of that fact. But this was one that came up, and I shot the seller an offer, and they took it. So I got this for under $100. And it's just a beautiful copy. You can kind of see there's some marks that's on the case. And I've attempted to get those off, but I'm not too worried about it. Overall, it's just a super nice card, really cool image. Very happy to add that. Next is another trade card that I'd waited a long time to add to my trade card set. I know a lot of people have this already, but this was one that eluded me for a while, only because of the price of it. And I was just waiting for the right one to come along that was in a good price range and in a condition that I could afford. And actually, whenever I picked this up, I got a really good chunk of the set that this comes from. I forget how many cards there are. There might be like 11 or 12 cards. And I'm only missing 2 of the cards from the set. But this is the 1878 Huntley and Palmer's Biscuits baseball trade card. This is one that most people that have it say this is the oldest card in their collection. I do have another trade card set that is also from 1878. It has a copyright date on it of 78. So this kind of ties for my oldest card that has a baseball image on it. I do have some Reward of Merit cards, I believe from the 50s or 60s. So those are older, but with a baseball image. This is one of my oldest, and I was really happy to add this. This is a relatively nice copy. You can see there is chipping on the front around the border here, but you know, overall, very happy with this. Let's see, now we're up to card number 13 of 20, and I have shared this before, but this is very similar to the George Washington, except this is an H600 of Abraham Lincoln. And this was one I got really lucky whenever I added this. This came in a trade card lot that just happened to be stuck in there. And it's got a very rare back to it. This is one that's very difficult to get. Not very many of them out there. But this is an advertisement for this set of cards. And so it kind of explains the pricing and the amounts that you could get this set of cards in. And typically you don't see it, so it's more like possibly like a salesman sample of this card. So just an example of it. And Lincoln is obviously one of the big ones to add. If you're into non-sports and you do the 19th century president's cards, Lincoln is typically your highest one to get. So I was very happy to add that one this year. Next is one that I had a video all for it, all by itself. This is my 1887 N690 Kalamazoo bats of Deacon McGuire. So if you missed the video on this, it's definitely a cool one to go check out. I tell the whole story about how I got it and kind of give some stats on Deacon McGuire if you're not familiar with him. But the Kalamazoo bats from the 1880s are very rare cards, very difficult to get, and I got very lucky whenever I was able to pick this one up. And they do have blank backs on them, but they also have a redemption back on them. And this is the more rare copy, is the one with the redemption on the back. So this just explains the prizes that you could receive for turning in these cards. This was one where I couldn't believe it whenever I got it, and I really still don't believe that I actually own a Kalamazoo bats. A lot of the baseball stuff from the 1800s is typically out of my range, but if I can find something the way I found this one, then they're definitely getting added. So this is one that I absolutely love. This is probably one of my most favorite baseball cards I have in my collection, probably one of the most rare that I have now. So very happy to add that one. Next, this is a recent acquisition as well. I got this in an auction. It was actually a vintage non-sports auction that I won this in. I'm gonna have a little bit of reflection, but this is a 1911 T36 of auto driver Ralph Mulford. This is a very nice copy of this card. You can see that it's a very crisp image. The back is really clean. You can see a little off center, but overall, this is actually one of the highest graded SGC examples of a Mecca back. So the advertisement on the back is for Mecca cigarettes. So one of the highest graded examples of a Ralph Mulford. And this is a set that I have been trying to put together now for a couple years. It's only a 25 card set. After I picked this one up, since this is my most recent, I am down to 3 cards out of the 25 that I need. And he was actually the last kind of big card that I needed. He's not a cheap card by any means, but none of them really are anymore. But the other guys are a little bit more, I guess, common, you could say. But they're still going to be pricey to get. But overall, I was very happy to move one card closer to my goal of completing that set. So I'm hoping, within the next 6 months to a year, I can probably get the last 3. So we'll see what happens. This next one is the reason for the cards in the background there. So the cards in the background, these are 1915 S&A postcards of Charlie Chaplin. These are very early postcards of Chaplin, and this was a set that I was trying to put together for about 3 years now. Whenever I decided I was going to do this set, I didn't think it was going to be as difficult as what it was to put together. So it is a 6-card set, and so this is card number 1, card 2, card 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what I had to find out, and this was not explicitly stated whenever I tried to do research on it, but card 4 actually has an alternate version. And I had seen it on a website, and I actually didn't know that this particular card 4 existed, but I found it relatively quick. Probably took maybe 2 years to find that one. And then My final piece to the puzzle was getting the other card number 4, which is this one right here. This is card number 4, and this literally took 3 years to find this card. This was a very difficult one to get. I can kind of put it back here against card number 3. You can see it's very, very similar. It's taken in the same area for the picture, but this one, he's a little bit more disheveled looking. So if you really look at it closely, and then this one, he's kind of sitting more straight up. But this was a very difficult postcard to find. It hasn't been posted. It's in average condition. Looks like there's maybe a little bit of paper loss up here, or somebody attempted to erase a price and kind of scratch some of the paper away. But that's one of those things where the card is so difficult to get, it doesn't even matter the condition. So this was one that kind of concluded my journey of putting this set together. This was very tricky, and I did not think it was going to take me 3 years to find the final card of a 6-card set, technically 7-card set. But this was one that I was thrilled to add, and this just came recently, just in the last maybe 2 or so months. So just got that. Very happy. This is another one that I haven't shared yet, and this is card number 17 on my list. This is a 1905 Russian postcard of George Hackenschmidt. So you follow my channel, you know that I really enjoy George Hackenschmidt cards. And this was one that I had never seen before. It's a very early version of a postcard for him. And it's in one of the poses that I absolutely love. I think I have 2 or 3 other cards where he shares a very, very similar pose, if not the same pose. And this was one that I actually got it from a seller overseas. They had a lot of multiple wrestlers early postcards, and I saw this one, and I was able to get this one from his set and purchase it all alone. But it is a blank back. There is no date on it. And the dating is kind of questionable. The seller was actually thinking that it was like 1902, 03, or 04, but I was going to give it the date of 05 just to kind of maybe be on the safe side, because I don't think it's like 07 or later, but I do believe it's probably in that 04, 05 range. So this was a card that I was really thrilled to add. Just because it's such a difficult one to find, and he was the world's first heavyweight wrestling champion. Just a cool guy to collect. And let's see, number 18 here on my list. This is one that was just another right place, right time. This is the 1888 HD Smith & Co., or as it says on the flip there, 1888 Scraps Tobacco. This is the die cut of Hall of Fame baseball player and manager Ed Hanlon. So this is really difficult to get. Hanlon is one of those players where he just doesn't have a lot of cards. And this is just one of those die cuts where there's some staining on the back, and maybe, I think he's missing his little flip on his mustache there. So it brought it down to the affordability in my range, and I maybe even got it slightly below what it should have went for. So this was one that I was super thrilled to add. I just got this recently. It was one that I didn't think I'd be able to get. I do have another die cut from this set. It was pulled from a scrapbook, but it wasn't a Hall of Fame player like this one. So this was one that I was very, very thrilled to be able to add to the PC once again. I know I've said that several times, but I'm very grateful for the stuff that I get and the stuff I'm able to collect. It takes a lot of time and patience finding some of this stuff, but when I do, it's very rewarding. Next is one of the things, I'm actually going to take it out of the sleeve here real quick. One of the things that this could go from being like just a postcard, or it could go to the best thing in my collection. and I still haven't submitted it yet for authentication, and I will at some point, only because the price is a little steeper than what I want to spend to get it done. But if it does come back as authentic, then it will be an incredible piece to have in my collection. Overall, this is the 1909 Wright Brothers postcard. And what I believe, if you haven't seen my previous video where I spoke about this, I believe that this was actually signed by both of them. The jury's still out on that. I still need to send it for authentication, but they look really good to me. I can see under a loop. I can see the indentation from where like a fountain pen would have been used to do this. This is a postcard that was posted in 1909. Addressed to somebody in Tiffin, Ohio. And this is just a very special card, especially for a non-sports collector, aviation collector, what have you. This could turn out to be something pretty incredible if it is authentic. So this was one that I was thrilled to add, but bought it at a risk. I didn't pay a whole lot for it, so if it does fail authentication, it's still a cool piece to have, and just a very early postcard of the Wright Brothers. So that's one that needs to get taken care of sometime soon. I'm just trying to build up the funds that, if they are real, that it's gonna cost quite a bit to get it authenticated. And let's see, this is number 20. This is the last piece that I have here. Haven't shown it, and I actually don't even know how well it's gonna translate on the camera, but as I said before, I'm a big George Hackenschmidt collector, and I was able to add, let's see if I can do this without too much glare. I was able to add a signed 8x10 photo of George Hackenschmidt, and there's going to be a lot of glare on this, but it's kind of difficult to see. If I hit the light just right, you can see it in there, but it says, "Best wishes, George Hackenschmidt, New York, 1939. So bought this off of an eBay seller that had actually another, man, the glare is terrible. It had another Hall of Fame wrestler, and he had an autograph photo, and I was actually able to pair both of them together to get both. But this is the one I was mainly gunning for. I just wish that his signature wasn't down in the black like it is, and maybe up across his chest or something, but such a cool image, and to have an autograph or a signature that's been inscribed by George Hackenschmidt is pretty incredible for a collector of him. So this was a kind of a prized piece that I was able to add this year. Hadn't really shared it yet too much. Like I said, there is a picture on my Instagram of it, but it does not translate very well. You have to see it in person to really get the full effect of it. But super, super happy with all of my pickups this year. This has been a fantastic year for me. Before the year is over, maybe I'll come across maybe one more cool one that I'll have to share. But as for right now, this was my top 20 of 2025. I appreciate you sticking with me as always. Let me know if there's any favorites that you had in my list. Please comment down below, ask me any questions that you'd like. And don't forget, there's a fine line between a collector and a hoarder. Which one are you?